Hi there, my name is Kathy. I wanted to welcome you and thank you for your interest in CanExplore's Newfoundland Discovery Tour. So I'm just going to share my screen now so that you can see my PowerPoint presentation. So I'm a tour operator. My company's name is CanExplore. We're based in Bowmanville, and we specialize in small group tours. So I take a maximum of 22 people to Newfoundland. I also do tours to Western Canada, Agua Canyon and Sudbury. I'm doing a cruise tour to the Caribbean in February 2026, and I also offer day trips, and I'll be adding more destinations in the future. So today I'm going to share some information with you about my favorite province in Canada. Of course, that's Newfoundland. It has beautiful scenery, quaint fishing villages, and my favorite part of Newfoundland is its warm-hearted people and their fantastic sense of humor. So what I'm going to do is take you through the day-to-day itinerary of this 10-day tour to Newfoundland. So on day one, we will leave Toronto Pearson and fly to Deer Lake, which is on the west coast of the island of Newfoundland. It's a 2.5-hour flight there from Toronto. And we'll land at Deer Lake Regional Airport. It's a very small airport. A coach will meet us there. And then we will travel for an hour and a half to our first hotel in Cowhead. Cowhead is in Grossmore National Park, which is that green area you see there that's just left of the red dot. That red dot is where Deer Lake National Regional Airport is. So we'll be spending 3 days in the Grossmore National Park area. There's so much to see and do there. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And after we get to our hotel, we will have a welcome dinner together with the group so you can get to know each other better. Day two, our first stop will be the Tablelands. This area is world-renowned for its geology. We'll be doing a guided hike there. The Tablelands are a barren reddish plateau, which are the remains of an ancient ocean floor that existed 500 million years ago. Tectonic forces pushed the floor upwards. The tablelands are predominantly made of peridotite, which lack the usual nutrients required to sustain most plant life, hence the barren landscape you see here. We will also be visiting the Discovery Center at Grossmore National Park and learning about the park. Then after our visit to the Tablelands and after we've had lunch, we will be doing a scenic boat cruise on Vaughan Bay to see some of the small villages on the shores and perhaps even to see some whales and bald eagles. Day three, we will be going to Lobster Cove Head Lighthouse first. There's beautiful scenery here and marine displays. There are even some short hikes you can do just near the lighthouse there. We'll be having a picnic lunch there. And then afterwards, we'll be going to Western Brook Pond. We'll be doing a scenic boat tour of an ancient fjord. Now, this is the top attraction in Grossmore National Park. There is a 3-kilometer hike to the pier from the parking lot. That's why you see this slide here. And then, of course, a 3-kilometer hike back from the pier to the parking lot after the 2-hour boat tour. Now, last year they did add golf carts for people who didn't want to do that hike, and they were charging $10 per person return last year. Once you do that 3-kilometer hike, you come to the pier, and this is what you'll see. You'll get on one of those boats there and head into the ancient fjord. There's beautiful scenery here. And even some waterfalls. It's absolutely stunning in this area. That's why it is the top attraction in Grossmore National Park. Then after our boat tour, we're going to head to Rocky Harbor and we're going to go to the Anchor Pub at the Ocean View Hotel. We'll be having dinner there first, and then after dinner, we'll be staying for the Anchors Away show. This is one of the highlights in the region. It is usually a highlight of the tour. People absolutely love this show. It's great music and jokes. This show is sold out months and months ahead of time. I bought the tickets for our group over a year ago for this. Then, day 4, we will be leaving the Grossmore National Park area and going to Gander, which is about a 4-hour drive. but we'll be making several stops along the way. One of them will be at Kings Point, where we'll be having lunch at a restaurant that's right on the water. It's a beautiful spot. And then we'll be going to Grand Falls, Windsor to visit the Salmonid Interpretation Center. Here you'll learn about the Atlantic salmon. You may even see some swimming up this salmon ladder. And then we'll head back to Gander to spend the night, and that's about an hour and 15 minutes from Grand Falls, Windsor. From Gander, we'll be doing a day trip to Twillingate. It's about an hour and a half to Twillingate. And there's a very picturesque fishing village. It's one of my favorite places in Newfoundland. Our first stop in Twillingate will be Prime Berth Museum. Here you'll learn about the fishing industry in Newfoundland and how the industry has evolved over the years. It's a very informative and interesting tour, and you'll learn how the 1992 moratorium on cod fishing affected Newfoundlanders. Then, after we've had lunch, we'll go on an iceberg whale watch boat tour. These are very popular in Twillingate. It's a 2-hour boat tour. And Twillingate was where I saw my first iceberg. It depends on the year. Last year, there were not that many icebergs around Newfoundland. There were a few at the tip of the northern peninsula of the island, but not very many. But the year before that, so 2 years ago, there were lots of icebergs around Newfoundland, and we saw icebergs in Twillingate. So it just depends on the year. So we'll go out to look for icebergs and whales. And then after that boat tour, we'll go to Auk Island Winery to try some local wines with names like 3 Sheets to the Wind, 50 Shades of Bay, Funky Puffin, Jelly Bean Roll, Moose Juice, very unusual names. Then we'll go to Long Point Lighthouse. There's beautiful coastal scenery here and trails. This is a view of the lighthouse from the water, and this is a view of the coastline from one of the trails very close to the lighthouse. Now, we'll head back to Gander. I don't know if you've heard much about Gander, but Gander is where 38 planes were grounded on September 11th, 2001 because of the terror attacks in New York and Washington during 9/11. And then the locals here took in nearly 6,700 people, almost doubling its population. So when you're on a coach tour, you can do this Beyond Words tour, a come from away experience. This tour showcases some of the key locals, places, and events of the week of September 11th, 2001. So we have a local get on our coach with us. She takes us to some of the places where they took the plane people, as they refer to them. And she also tells us about her personal experience as a volunteer during this week after 9/11. I don't know if any of you have seen the play Come From Away. This play is actually based on what happened that week in Gander and the surrounding areas after 9/11. Also, while we're in Gander, we'll visit the North Atlantic Aviation Museum. This highlights Gander's role in transatlantic aviation. And years ago, Gander had the nickname Crossroads of the World, and that was because before jumbo jets, planes that had to travel from North America to Europe all had to stop in Gander to refuel, and that's why Gander had the nickname Crossroads of the World. Then from Gander, we head to Terra Nova National Park. It's about 50 minutes away. There are beautiful forests and trails here. We'll have a tour guide discuss the natural and cultural heritage of the park, and we'll tour their marine exhibit at their visitor center. Then we'll be spending 2 nights in Clarenville, which is about 45 minutes from Terra Nova National Park. This is a great place to use as a base to visit Trinity and Bonavista, which we'll be doing the next day. So on day 7, our first stop will be Trinity. It's about an hour from Clarenville. This is another one of my favorite places in Newfoundland. It is one of the oldest communities in North America. The harbor was first used by fishing ships around the 16th century. We're going to be doing a 2-hour walking tour of Trinity. And Trinity was the filming location for the movie The Shipping News and also for the miniseries Random Passage. Then from Trinity, we'll head to Bonavista. It's about 45 minutes away, and you'll be able to board the Matthew Legacy, which is a full-scale replica of the ship that John Cabot sailed in 1497 when he landed here in North America. Then we'll go to Cape Bonavista Lighthouse. This contains an exhibition about life in the lighthouse during the 1870s. And there are beautiful cliffs and views of the coastline at the lighthouse, and you might even see some puffins there like we did when we were there. Then we had an hour and a half back to our hotel in Clarenville. The next day, day 8, we'll be leaving Clarenville and going to St. John's, which is about 2 hours away from Clarenville. And St. John's is the capital city of Newfoundland and Labrador. It is the largest city in Newfoundland. It's about 113,000 in St. John's itself and about 235,000 in the metropolitan area. Now, St. John's sits on a gorgeous harbor, as you can see here. And our first stop when we get there will be Kitty Vitty Harbor. This is a quaint fishing community in St. John's. And we'll be visiting Kitty Vitty Brewery to taste some of the local craft beers, including an iceberg beer, which is a lager. Then in the afternoon, we'll be doing a city tour of St. John's, and we'll be stopping at Signal Hill National Historic Site. This is St. John's most popular landmark. Signal Hill was the site of St. John's harbor defenses from the 17th century to the Second World War. And it's also where Marconi received the world's first transatlantic wireless signal in 1901. St. John's is famous for its colorful row houses, sometimes referred to as Jelly Bean Row. It is said that sailors painted their homes in bright colors to make them more visible against the cool gray backdrop of mist so that they could see them on the hills when they entered the harbor. On the city tour, you'll also see the Basilica Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. This is the second largest church in Canada after St. Joseph's Oratory in Montreal. This church was built between 1839 and 1855, and it's one of the few buildings in St. John's to survive the Great Fire of 1892. We'll also see the Confederation Building, which is the home of Newfoundland and Labrador's House of Assembly. On day 9, we'll be visiting Bay Bulls in Witless Bay, which is about only a half an hour from St. John's. And in Bay Bulls, we'll be doing a whale watching boat tour to look for humpback whales. Now, these are some of the humpback whales we saw when we were there. We were not in the Zodiac. That's the boat you see in this slide. We were on a bigger boat. These boats will also take you to Witless Bay Ecological Reserve. And here you'll see millions and millions of seabirds. These are some of the Atlantic puffins we saw when we were there, and you're guaranteed to see Atlantic puffins on this tour. And these are some common murres we saw. Then from there, we'll go to Cape Spear National Historic Site, which is about 45 minutes from Bay Bulls. Cape Spear is a landmark 1836 lighthouse and fortress site. It has panoramic views of the coastline, and it is the most easterly point in North America. Then we will head back to St. John's. It's about a 20-minute ride back from Cape Spear to St. John's. We'll go to our hotel, and then you'll have a half day at leisure. And I just have some suggestions of things you might want to do during your half day at leisure. You might want to visit the rooms. This is a large art history museum. It's only about 20 minutes, a 20-minute walk from our hotel, which will be the Delta in St. John's. George Street is 2 blocks of mostly pubs and bars. That's only a 5-minute walk from the hotel. Water Street is the main shopping district, and that's again only about a 5-minute walk from the hotel. And then Johnson Geocenter, there are exhibits on Earth's geologic history, the future of space, the Titanic and the solar system, and that's about a 35-minute walk from the hotel, or you can take a taxi or Uber. On our last evening, we'll be visiting Christian's Bar on George Street to be screeched in to become an honorary Newfoundlander. And Christian's Bar is well known as one of the best places to be screeched in. And I'll just explain the screech-in ceremony. So what they'll have you do is they'll have you try a piece of Newfie steak, which is actually bologna. They'll have you kiss a codfish, which is usually frozen, and they'll have you down a shot of screech. And I'll tell you a little bit more about screech in a minute. Before you down that shot of screech, they'll ask you a question. They'll ask you, is ye a Newfoundlander? And your response will be, and they'll teach you how to say this, well, it will be, indeed I is me old cock, and long may your big jib draw, which means, yes, I am, my old friend, and long may the wind blow in your sails, or long may you have luck. So the screech is a Jamaican rum, and saltfish was shipped to the West Indies in exchange for this rum years ago. And the story of the name goes like this. A visiting American World War II serviceman downed the rum in one quick toss. His howls of distress caused a bystander to rush to his aid, roaring, "What was that ungodly screech?" The taciturn Newf simply replied, "The screech, 'tis the rum, me son." As word of the incident spread, more soldiers began trying this mysterious rum, adopting it as their favorite. The funny name stuck, and today the rum and its place in Newfoundland's culture has become legendary. Once you've completed the screech-in ceremony, they will give you a certificate stating that you are an honorary Newfoundlander. After the screech-in ceremony, we're going to head to a local pub for our farewell dinner, which will include a traditional jigs dinner. And a jigs dinner is often served on Sundays in Newfoundland homes. And what it is salt beef boiled together in a large pot with cabbage, potatoes, turnip, carrots, sometimes peas pudding. I know it doesn't sound very appetizing, but it's actually very good. If you decide you don't want to try the jigs dinner, you can choose something else off the menu. And then on day 10, after breakfast, you'll be transferred to the airport in St. John's. It's about a 15-minute drive from the Delta Hotel to the airport in St. John's to return home. So this 10-day tour includes 9 nights accommodation, return airfare from Toronto to Newfoundland, that's Air Canada, plus 1 checked bag each way. Baggage handling, ground transportation, which will be a 56-passenger luxury coach with a washroom. Services of a tour director, which will be me. Visits to Grossmorn Park, Grand Falls, Windsor, Twillingate, Gander, Trinity, Bonavista, Cape Spear, St. John's. There are 4 boat tours, one on Bombay, Western Brook Pond, in Twillingate, and in Bay Bulls. Entrance fees to the historic sites and museums mentioned in the itinerary, a guided tour of Trinity, the Anchors of Way show, wine tasting at Ock Island Winery, craft beer tasting at Kitty Bitty Brewery, airport transfers, which means transfers from Deer Lake Airport to the first hotel in Grossmore National Park, and then the Delta Hotel in St. John's to the St. John's Airport. That's not transfers from home to Pearson and Pearson back. So this tour includes many of the most interesting and beautiful places to see in Newfoundland. I only run small group tours, which I mentioned, and I do that because I feel it offers a better tour experience. They're more fun, you get to know everybody on the tour, and you spend less time waiting at comfort stops, hotels, restaurants, etc. So I'm taking, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, a maximum of 22 to Newfoundland. There are 14 meals included on this tour. That includes some, but not all of the meals, and I do that just because I want to give you the opportunity to try some of the local restaurants, and I can always recommend a good local restaurant. So the price for this tour is $57.95 per person. That's based on double occupancy. It's Air Canada. We're flying from Toronto to Deer Lake and then back from St. John's back to Toronto. And it includes 1 checked bag there and back. There is a $500 non-refundable deposit due upon booking. And the final booking date and full payment is due April 25th, 2025. So again, if you want more information about this tour, you just go to my website. You can book at www.canexplore.com/Newfoundland. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me. My email address is there, Kathy@canexplore.com. And there's a lot more information about this tour on my website, www.canexplore.com. So I wanted to, I'm going to stop sharing now, and I wanted to talk to you about a video that I would like to show you. And this video is a video that my daughter and her boyfriend filmed. They are in the film industry. They came with me to Newfoundland on my tour 2 years ago, and they took amazing footage of Newfoundland. And it's much better than any picture I can show you because they brought a drone and they have overhead shots and everything. So this video is 7 minutes long. So I'm going to show that to you. And then afterwards, I have a joke that I wanted to share with you at the very end of the presentation because Newfoundlanders have a fantastic sense of humor. So let me get this video started now. So Can Explorer's tour of Newfoundland starts with us flying into Deer Lake.
And we spend 3 days in Gros Morne National Park. And the reason I do that is because Gros Morne National Park is absolutely stunning. And there are many things to see and do in Gros Morne National Park. The top attraction there is Western Brook Pond. And it's an ancient fjord. Beautiful boat tour into that area. We also visit the Tablelands. It's one of the few places on the planet where you can see the Earth's mantle. We also do a boat tour of Bon Bay when we're in Gros Morne National Park. We visit Lobster Cove Head Lighthouse. One of the amazing things we do there is we go to the Anchors Away show, which is one of the most exciting shows you'll go to. Very entertaining, funny. People absolutely love it. It's one of the highlights of the tour to Newfoundland is seeing that Anchors Away show, and it's booked far in advance, usually sold out by the time July and August get here. Then we go to Grand Falls, Windsor. We visit the Salmonid Interpretation Center. There's a salmon ladder there. We learn all about the Atlantic salmon. We head to Gander. In Gander, we will be going on a Beyond Words tour, a Come From Away experience, where we'll have a local get on the coach with us and take us to some of the highlights, some of the places that the Plain people, as they refer to them, were taken the week after 9/11, and how the people in Gander looked after these people and entertained them. And then we will also be going to Twillingate from Gander. Twillingate is one of my favorite places in Newfoundland. We're going to visit the Prime Birth Museum. It talks about the 1992 moratorium on cod fishing and how it affected Newfoundlanders, so you'll learn about that. Then we'll go on a boat tour again to see whales and perhaps even icebergs. I've seen icebergs in Twillingate in July. And we'll be going to Auk Island Winery to taste some of the local wines with names like 3 Sheets to the Wind, Funky Puffin, 50 Shades of Bay. Very interesting names in their wines. And we'll be visiting Long Point Lighthouse in Twillingate. Then from there we go to Clarenville, and Clarenville is a great base to see Trinity and Bonavista. Trinity was one of the first communities in North America. It's where some movies have been filmed, like Random Passage has been filmed in that area. We'll be doing a walking tour of Trinity, a historical walking tour. Then we head to Bonavista, and that's where John Cabot landed in 1497 on the Matthew, and we're going to be actually going on the Matthew. We'll be visiting Cape Bonavista Lighthouse. Often you can see puffins at Cape Bonavista Lighthouse along the shore, so absolutely stunning scenery there. Then we go through Terra Nova National Park. We'll visit the Discovery Center there. And after that, St. John's. But we'll go to Kitty Vitty Village first. And Kitty Vitty is a little suburb of St. John's. We'll be visiting Kitty Vitty Brewery to taste some of the local craft beers, including their Iceberg Lager. We'll be doing a tour of St. John's, a city tour of St. John's. We'll be ending that tour in Signal Hill, which is a National Historic Site. And that's where Marconi received the world's first transatlantic signal in 1901. The next day, we'll be going to Bay Bowls, and we'll be doing a whale watching tour in Bay Bowls on O'Brien's whale watching tour. And we'll be going back to St. John's, but we'll be going through Petty Harbor, which is a quaint little fishing village, on to Cape Spear, which is the easternmost point in North America. And there's a lighthouse there. It's a beautiful sight. And then back to St. John's. Everyone has a half day free time in St. John's. And then we do a screech-in ceremony, which is a lot of fun. We go to Christian's Bar on George Street in St. John's. This is one of the probably the best place to get screeched in Newfoundland. And to be screeched in, there's several things you have to do. They'll have you eat some Newfie steak, which is actually bologna. They'll have you kiss a codfish. And then they'll have you down a shot of screech, which is a Jamaican rum. And so after you down the screech, they give you a certificate saying that you are an honorary Newfoundlander. After our screech-in ceremony, we'll have our farewell dinner, which will include a jigs dinner if you would like a jigs dinner. And a jigs dinner is a traditional Newfoundland meal, often served on Sundays. And then there'll be some local Newfoundland music at the pub for our farewell dinner. And then we head home the next day with great memories.
Okay, so now I would like to just finish the presentation with a joke. Bell needed to hire a team of telephone pole installers for Fort McMurray, and the boss had to choose between a team of 2 guys from Newfoundland and a team of 2 Irish guys. So the boss met with both teams and said, "Here's what we'll do. Each team will be installing poles out on their new road for a day. The team that installs the most phone poles gets the job." Both teams headed right out. At the end of the shift, Pat and Mike, the Irish guys, came back and the boss asked them how many they had installed. They said it was tough going, but they put in 12. 45 minutes later, Bud and Buddy, the Newfoundland guys, came back in and they were totally exhausted. The boss asked, "Well, how many poles did you guys install?" Bud, the team leader, wiped his brow and sighed. "Buddy and me, we got 3 in." The boss gasped, "3? Those 2 Irish guys put in 12. "Yeah," said Bud, "but you should see how much they left sticking out of the ground." Anyway, thank you so much for listening to my presentation. And if you have any questions at all about the Newfoundland Discovery Tour from CanExplore, just don't hesitate to email me at Kathy@canexplore.com. Thanks again.